What is up? I don't know if you guys can hear me. I think everything's set up right. I'm not using the same mic as I usually do, but shout out to everybody here hanging out randomly again on a Sunday night, kind of a chill stream. I don't even have plans of what I won't even want to fucking really talk about or anything. Uh, Sometimes it's cool to go live and hang out and chill with you guys and see what y'all want to talk about. So let's do that. Maybe I'll play some games or something too. I've been playing Neon White a little bit tonight, which is actually really different than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be like more frantic and crazy and stuff, but it's kind of fun just like to hop in and do these little quick runs on these levels and stuff like that. So I'm enjoying that game. I haven't played very much of it. I think I've only done like 5 of them or something. First Descendant, I've been playing a lot of. I kind of play in that real casual and chill too. I'm just kind of in this like chill mood with gaming right now. I'm not getting like overly like sucked into any one thing and really like going hardcore and stuff like I did before with Diablo or in the past Division and even before that Apex and stuff like that. I'm just kind of like meandering through games, I guess you could say. But I've been having a lot of fun with it, chilling. But yeah, I hope you all are having a good night. Shout out to everybody in the chat. See Nate Dogg, Web Dave hanging out, Bionic Wolf, Froggy. What's up, Froggy? Sleepy Goblin, Magnum. Nate Dogg had said, is this going to be another podcast criticizing PlayStation? Usually there's some criticism that pops up here and there. I don't have too much to say about them right now. Like, they've had Concord come out of the beta. It didn't have a lot of numbers. Some people like it, some people don't like it. We'll see how the game does. Other than that, I think the second half of this year is going to be dominated by Xbox anyway, so it's not a whole lot of point in talking too much about PlayStation when their first half is pretty much their slate for the year, and they're kind of past it. So there's a lot to focus on with Xbox coming up in the next 6 months or so. They have a lot of big games coming out. One that some people have been playing the beta on, which is Age of Mythology Retold, has had a beta. I don't need to play that, or demo, whatever you want to call it. I don't need to try it out because I know I'm going to be on that day one. So I'll be playing that. I've already been dabbling into some Age of Empires again here and there as well with my grazing. Let's see, what else we got here? Sleepy Goblin says, been buying up old 360 games. May play one of those tonight. Yeah, dude, I've been like looking at the store, and there's been some games that's been kind of like almost buying into. 360 games that I like to play. If you're looking for some that play great, I don't know if you're into RTS, but check out the Command and Conquers that came out on 360, because EA did some like unlocking with things, and they play way better now on a Series X than they did back then on the 360, even though they were still great back then. But man, they're so fast and fluid, dude. So like Command and Conquer 3, Tiberian Wars, and Red Alert 3, specifically for the 360, Both of them play fucking amazing. If you like RTS games, that I can't recommend those enough. If you're looking for 360 stuff, I know there's maybe going to be even more 360 stuff hitting the store soon because of the ABK drops. It'd be interesting to see if they do anything like that. The Transformers games as well, right? I put in the chat, it says, what do y'all want to talk about? And Nate Dogg said ABK Marvel game drop. Game Pass? Like, what do you mean ABK Marvel game drop? You talking about like a new game? Or are you talking about some of their old licensed ABK games? Like, they had a Spider-Man games, they had some other stuff. They had Marvel Ultimate Alliance back in the day, and stuff like that. Are you talking about those games? Are you talking about a new ABK Marvel game? Like, Marvel's doing licenses with so many people. I don't know if they've like stopped doing those deals, but they've done a lot of deals with a lot of people. They've got Skydance, they got or Amy Hennig's company, I think it's called Skydance. Can't remember exactly. So they had them. They have EA. They did Midnight Suns with 2K. They obviously have Ultimate Alliance 3 that they did with Nintendo. They actually have more than one game with EA. And then you have the obvious stuff like Spider-Man with Sony. So they've just been doing stuff left and right. Bionic Wolf says we could talk about retro gaming. What do you want to talk about with retro gaming, bro? Like how game preservation needs to be a thing in the digital age. Yeah, I don't know about PlayStation. I think PlayStation's doing what they can with retro stuff, but like for Xbox, they do retro stuff the best. And then if you really want to maintain retro in the future, you need to have a PC in emulation. I think that's really where preservation is going to go. And I think they need to. It would be nice if more companies kind of like went and maintained licensing, or also it gave updates to games and kept them going. Let's see. Concord. Dave D says Concord is dead on arrival. I think that Concord is going to struggle. And it's not because I'm not saying it's a bad game. I just think that overall Concord has too much up against it. First off, it's in a genre that is completely full of free-to-play 5 versus 5 hero shooters. You got your Overwatches, you got new ones coming out, like the Fragpunk game, you got Marvel Rivals coming out. And there's you have games like Valorant out there. You have just so many fucking games, and it's not just competing against 5v5 hero shooter games, competing against other free-to-play games. I mean, you could even look at something like The First Ascendant, which is PvE, or you could look at something like Apex Legends, which is, Battle Royale, but it's still kind of a hero shooter type game. Fortnite, obviously. I mean, all these big games. It's competing against all of them for time. And I think it's just time and money and players, right? So I just think it has to be extra special in order to get a good, big, healthy player base in a genre that's just so oversaturated. Then you have other games still coming out in the genre too. So yeah, I don't think it's necessarily gonna be a bad game. I think it's gonna have like its players. I think it's gonna have some people that really enjoy it. I think it's gonna have its fans, right? I think it's probably gonna be a solid, well-made game. But like just at first glance, based on reactions from people, I think it's got to be like extra special to really like take off and have like a long life on it. Something like Helldivers 2 is really, really great, but it's like a unique game. Like there's nothing really out there like Helldivers 2. Nate Doc said, I thought it was fun, a little slow though. Yeah, I mean, cool. I think that just ultimately it's got to be like extra fucking amazing, and just in that genre. The player bases that it's going against are established, and for time. It's going to be really hard for them. Jasper says, what's the next game coming out soon you're looking to dive into? Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess, I think, is the next one. I'm also looking forward to play Flintlock. Or give it a go. It's not like super high on my list, but I'm looking forward to trying it out. But Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess is one that I've had my eye on ever since it was announced. I think it's a really cool concept. I like tower defense games in general. I remember playing Defense Grid back in the day. I loved Defense Grid. I would play like Kingdom Battles or whatever the fuck those games are called on iPhone back in the day and stuff. And I even bought it again when it hit console. I just like tower defense games, and they're blending like genres with Path of the Goddess to like kind of tower defense / like JRPG stuff in a way, or action games. I don't know. It's just really cool. The music is good. So that's the next bigger one kind of that I'm excited about. Shout out to Jasper joining us from outer space. Sleepy Goblin says, I play RTS some. Yeah, dude. I don't know if you played the 360 games, the 360 Command & Conquers, but definitely check those out, bro. Nate Dux has been playing it all weekend, has a good cast of characters and abilities, but it's pretty much a prettier carbon copy of Overwatch in a lot of ways. Yeah, that ain't gonna fly, you know? That ain't gonna fly to really grab an audience and have it grow. Do I know how much it costs for all COD games? For all of them? You know, like all the Call of Duties? I have no fucking clue, dude. But I would imagine to be a pretty penny. And if you have Game Pass, you won't have to do that once they all eventually hit. I think ultimately later this year, or this month, we'll have Modern Warfare 3 hit. At some point, they'll put Vanguard in there. They'll put the other Black Ops. They'll put other games. Looking forward to see if that has any impact on the current player bases on the older CODs. Magnum says this year is probably the shittiest year in gaming for a long time. Wow, really? What makes I am really curious, Magnum, like what makes you say that? Because we have a huge like amount of games coming out. There's been plenty of stuff to play in the first half already. I'm curious why you think that's not trying to argue with you. It's your personal taste and opinion on it. But overall, like, man, like there's so much stuff coming out. Even if you focus on some of the third parties, you still got Star Wars Outlaws, you got Assassin's Creed Shadows. Elden Ring fans have been loving Shadow of the Erdtree. Like PlayStation, they had a couple of bigger games this year. They had Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. They had Stellar Blade. Xbox, we had Hellblade 2 already. And then you have Age of Mythology Retold coming. You have Avowed coming. You have Indiana Jones. Called Black Ops 6. A new flight sim. Towerborn, Ara, History Untold. There's just a lot of games, man. It's a lot of games. But if none of them are for you, that's cool, right? Black Knight says, I was devastated when I waited too long to pick up Spec Ops The Line before it was delisted. Yeah, that's the thing with the game preservation stuff that I was talking about, man. Like these licenses and all that I'm not a huge fan of when these games get delisted for like stupid reasons over like old music and licensing. I think these companies got to really think about that stuff more so when they're creating these games. About players are playing older games more than ever before, really. And like there's a lot of people playing 10-year-old games still. One of the most popular PC games is still fucking Counter-Strike, right? Like if you support your game, if you update them over time, if you kind of keep them with some kind of content or keep things going, you can have old games, even in story-based games, kind of have second and third lives, man. And seeing them just get delisted and kind of thrown away, but based on kind of bullshit reasons and stuff, like they really got to start doing better with that. Maybe it's a music thing, like with those companies and all that. I don't really know what the reasons are, but They got to figure it out. Like even with Forza, like with the Forza Horizon games, them delisting those because of car licenses, they got to start figuring that shit out to not have that be a thing. You know, like these car companies with the licenses. I mean, come on, just let the fucking games stay out there forever for sale. I know that you still get to access it if you bought it, which is good, but to have to even delist shit off the storefronts, it's stupid. This is things like the Transformers games, the Ninja Turtles games, all those licensed games being removed from stores in the past because of expired licenses. I just want that to be a done thing. Just if the product is agreed to be made, agree to let it be sold as long as there's hardware for people to play it on. And man, it'd be way better for things to move forward, and you'd be able to keep your games and them even update them. I think that'd be better for the games, it'd be better for the gamers, it'd be better for the brands, it'd be better for the license holders, it'd be better for everybody, it'd be better for the companies. Let's see. Yeah, so many licensed ABK games that have been delisted. Yeah, I hate it, bro. And sometimes it's like not even like those kind of licensed games. Like I remember they had pulled Alpha Protocol off of Steam before, like Sega did, because of some music shit. Then it ended up being put back on like good old games and stuff later. But yeah, like come on, can they figure that kind of stuff out? Should Blade be linear or free roam? I want Blade to be open. Like I want to have the level of freedom there with a traversal and the world. Jasper says, "Yo, why?" I don't know why. Why what? Cyber Gunter says, "Sup, man? What's up, Cyber? How you doing, bro? How are you doing, dude? Let's see. When 900 show up for PS Plus and 700 for open beta, you know you're dead on arrival. Yeah, there's not the pre-order numbers have been pretty low, right? I don't even know when that game's coming out. Is Concord coming out sooner than later, or is it coming out like October, September? I have no fucking clue because I haven't even cared to look. About Bold Alpha says, I don't want to wail on Concord with a bag of bricks because who knows if this could be their last game, but when everything else is launching decent, it's going to be tough. Yeah, like I said, it could even be a good game. And I don't think it'll matter. It's the fact that they're asking $40 for it. It needs to be free to play to have a chance, honestly. In that genre, you need to be on PC and console, and you need to be free to play to have a chance. And you'll generate some excitement, but even then, it's going to be really fucking hard because you're still going against a bunch of other big time free to play games. It's Watch Series says too similar to games that are already out. Yeah. Sup, Umbra? How's it going, dude? Nighturnal, what's up? About 900 something on Steam. Whole bundle is going for high 800s on sale. Let's see. Can't keep Black Knight says I can't keep up with all these games. Did Magnum answer me about why this is such a shitty year yet? I gotta scroll down a little bit more. You guys are chatty in the chat, man. I'm having trouble keeping up. Magnum says end of year looks awesome. Okay. Sup, Dova? How's it going? How you doing? M. Gene, what's up? Jasper says Call of Duty bundle on Steam is 1,069. Really? $1,000 and 1,069, and that is COD 1 up to Advanced Warfare. So missing like last 7 COD. Fuck me, dude. You'd think they give a better deal. Like I don't know. Umbra says I would like to jump on with you during some of these late night talks, dude. Hey man, I got Discord. You could hop in the Discord right now. I don't fucking care. I'm just sitting here chilling, dude. Um, I don't know if you're free or not. Bold Alpha says I could see it working as a linear title. Blackness is a yeah. For what? For Blade? I mean, if it's linear, I think it'd be really cool if it has some kind of concept for like a score system for going through the levels and doing as badass as you possibly can, and then being like have some kind of like scoring system versus friends and stuff like that. That'd be pretty cool if it's linear. I don't like, based on the shots that we've seen of the world and stuff, kind of like it looks open. So I'm have that in my mind when I'm thinking about it, right? So if it was linear, I would think it'd be like open kind of zones where you go through and you have objectives and you try and complete them as fast as possible. But I don't think it's going to be like a linear like game, you know? Um what I would think would be pretty cool is if they did something more in line with not Batman Arkham Knight or Batman Arkham City, but Arkham Asylum, right? Like kind of a open world Metroidvania-esque thing. That'd be pretty sick. Where you go around and you eventually gain access to new areas in the world that you've been. And like Arkham Asylum was a smaller area, but you kind of progress through it a lot at a slower pace. But I think Blade is going to kind of be like more open and free movement and kind of more fast, a little bit faster pace than maybe even some of the our arcane games before, because those were all kind of slower, methodical games. I think Blade, they're going to kind of do things a little different. Bring Umbra on. Let me open up my Discord. I don't know if Umbra's free. Um, I will have to do something to my setup, but that's okay. I can figure that out. Berg Brizzle says, "Yo, what's up, dude?" Old Alpha says the different facility wings was perfect for Asylum. I loved how the Asylum was built, man, because it was like a Metroidvania open-ended Batman game. It was just fucking sick. Now the other games, they didn't really go that route. It's more just kind of open world, but they established like the identity and theme with the Asylum for those Batman games. It was just really unique the way they built it. And I think it was maybe more of a product of the time they couldn't do with what they were pushing for in that world. Like they couldn't do like a big huge open thing back then with what they're pushing with graphics and all that. So they built the game around extending it, making it feel bigger, even with it being like a smaller area. And they just that was absolutely amazing. Slimy Mucus says, "How about that Concord?" Yeah, we've been talking some Concord for a little while. There's people that like it. I'm not gonna really dive into it or anything, you know, but maybe when it comes out, if it ever goes into PlayStation Plus, it's something I will give a shot. Is Concord Game of the Year 2024? Is that a for real question, or is that a sarcastic question? Because I'll answer it according to if it's sarcasm or if it's actually for real. If it's for real, then it's gonna be a completely different response that you get from me. Because that question is Concord Game of the Year is a joke. It has to be a joke. There's already been games that have come out that I would definitely say would be sarcastic. Okay. Well, yeah, I think it really could be Game of the Year if they really crack the 95 meta. No, I don't fucking know. It's not going to be. It's not going to have a chance. Maybe it has a chance for some kind of like multiplayer award. If that. Black Knight says Concord has gameplay. I just assume they will just watch the 2 to 3 minute weekly cinematic for the story. So this is like the thing. People are acting like this is so different with Concord. Like, man, they're really pushing storytelling and multiplayer gaming forward. I remember when I was watching the event where they had Concord reveal. Was it Summer Game Fest? Or was it State of Play? I think it was a State of Play. Right, when we saw the Concord reveal, the first opening, I was like, okay, this is cool. Right? Where is this going? Right? What is this? And then it's just like you find out it's a typical 5v5 hero shooter, right? So when I saw that, I'm like, okay. Now you look at other games, like all these big multiplayer free to play games have these seasonal cinematics and stuff that they do. Call of Duty does it. Um, fucking Apex does it. I mean, they all have this like, oh wow, this new season they're forced you to watch this cinematic and it fucking looks amazing, right? You're like, oh wow, that's fucking really cool, and then you just play the game. This is like not a new thing. Now maybe like it has more of a better ongoing theme and story to it that we're gonna find, and it's but the people are acting like this is like some kind of Destiny shit, you know? And it's not like that. Sony took the movie game insult literally and chopped up a movie into a game. I think you think it has a PvE mode coming for Concord. Yeah, we'll see what it evolves into, man. I don't know. I don't want to dog on it too much. I just don't think they went with the right model. I don't think they like were smart with their thinking about which games as service games they wanted to let move forward. I would rather there be, like many have suggested, like a Twisted Metal multiplayer game. You could do that Spider-Man multiplayer game that they had canned. You could do SOCOM, bring it back. Uh, there's so many franchises and games that they have that they could have went back to instead of making something that there's already similar things out there to dominating the player space right now. And the thinking behind that idea I never get with. It's like chasing the golden goose with these companies. Well, we need to make our version of this. We need to make our version of that. We need to do this, but do it better. We need to whenever they're doing that, it's like really hard for them to recapture the same magic that another game has. And in order to do that, you have to be way better than the other games. But you're competing against games that have been around for years and have established player bases and have figured things out and tuned and tweaked everything to be exactly what they want it to be and all that kind of stuff. So for me, that just never really works. And instead, they have things where their people have an itch for, like they want to play, but there's no solution out there for them. I think making things that are for those people are where you can start something from. Like, hey, let's make a badass like military serious tactical shooter, but do that better than any of the double A or indie versions that are out there right now, right? The only company that's had like a successful games of service, really like tactical thing that's really tactical on consoles has been Ubisoft with Rainbow Six, and that's gone for years and years now, and I think people are even itching for a new Rainbow, right? Because there's a lot of Rainbow Six fans that weren't excited for what Siege was to begin with. I would have rather it be something else, but it's been a very successful game for them for a long time. Mika says the main issue with Concord is not just pronouns, but it's the price. What is there something about pronouns with Concord? I had Why would anybody pay for Concord when Overwatch is better and free? Um, I don't, when games have you pick pronouns, I don't give a fuck. Like, doesn't matter to me either way. If they have it, if they have it, if they not, if they don't, they don't. Could you imagine how that pitch from Insomniac went? For what? Mind boggling into bro. Spider-Man MMO wasn't. Oh, like Spider-Man MMO. I think they said it was going to. They were just going to need to grow, and they were going to need even a bigger investment and more money and more staff, and they weren't going to be able to do that and the other things. Sony should have went and said, okay, well, let's make that work. Let's grow. Let's establish another studio. Let's do this. Let's do that, and let's keep a core team together to still develop the single player games. And that's how you go all in, right? But they were scared because of the cost and the fear of not enough return on it. Now, to be honest with you, though, like Insomniac's been great, and Insomniac's has fantastic games. Insomniac's been doing amazing. Insomniac's one of the better studios out there, right? But there's a it's starting to get a little stale with the Spider-Man stuff. Um, like I like it, but it seems a little too samey after samey after samey. I liked Insomniac when they were doing a bunch of different things before. Now they have a hit on their hands with Spider-Man, but I sensed, oh, even though Spider-Man 2 sold really well, like overall, the buzz and excitement over it didn't last as long as the original Spider-Man or even Miles Morales. Like people just kind of moved on faster from that, and it's like, okay, yeah, this is another Spider-Man game. I don't know if the next Spider-Man thing that they have planned, where they're planning on chopping it up into three $50 games, is gonna hit very well either. So I don't know. We'll see. Unless they start doing some other stuff too, I have a feeling that like in the future we won't be having the same conversations about Insomniac that we've been having over the last several years. Because they've had Ratchet and they've had Spider-Man, but like right now, like there's people leaving the Wolverine team. I'm not making a huge deal specifically just over that, but like from what people have seen and talked about Wolverine and the leaks that have come out, even though it's really early in development and stuff, it seems more of the same kind of what they've been making. And I think people are kind of like wanted to see something a little different with Wolverine. At least I did. I was wanting. I don't know what I was wanting, but I saw the last leak for it and the gameplay, and I was like, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll play it," but it doesn't really get me super excited. Not as excited as the fucking Deadpool versus Wolverine trailers. Those have been getting me really excited. By the way, did y'all see the Brave New World trailer for Captain America, Red Hulk, and stuff? I'm curious what you guys think of the Brave New World trailer. Black Knight says maybe to recuperate the cost, they'll drip the Spider-Man games into Xbox. I don't know, man. I don't. I think eventually we're gonna see some more things go to Xbox that used to be PlayStation exclusives, but they're so they don't have a clear idea of exactly how they're gonna transition into the new world of gaming. And that's why I'll put it with PlayStation. It seems like they're at odds with each other, and that's why they had a lot of the turmoil they had in this past year. Was like, what are we doing to set ourselves up for the future, but not hurt our existing player base? And they're kind of at odds with each other as a company to figure that out. And I think there's been games that have suffered and studios and teams that have suffered because of that, right? Nate Dogg says um, Microsoft could make a decent amount getting ABK to work on some Marvel side projects. I agree. Those licensing deals, though, I think Microsoft pays for the licensing, right? But Marvel's willing to do deals. I'm sending you Umbra. Hold on, real quick. Now let me know when you're in. I gotta. Let me see here. I gotta switch my microphone on Discord. And test. Okay, I think that's right. What's up, Brett Bingham? How's it going, dude? Xbox handheld, please. Are y'all thinking we get the handheld maybe early 2025 or late 2025 or early, or that's 2026 when they potentially do next gen? There's potentially still some hardware announcements to be had this year, at least according to them. All right, I got Umbra. Umbra, if you hop into the before the show channel, I can drag you. Because it's like the podcast one is locked. Or I can actually give you access. Let me give you access. Hold on. Okay, I think you have access. You should be able just to get in there now. Putting Discord in the same show as Marvel Legends was the dumbest or Concord, not Discord. Fuck. Putting Concord in the same show as Marvel Legends, Marvel Rivals, right? Is it Marvel Rivals or Marvel Legends? It was the dumbest decision. Yeah, so they got competition, right? There we go.
Mav, what's up?
What's up, dude? How's it going, man?
It's going all right. So I'm at work right now, unfortunately.
You're at
Fortunately,
work?
yeah, I'm at work, so I'm using my headphone right now. I just wanted to know if it doing sound
Yeah.
terrible.
Right on. No, yeah, I mean you're all right. You sound okay.
Okay, I didn't want to jump on and disrupt it,
No,
but
you're all
yeah,
right, man. What's up, dude? How you doing?
not too much, man. I'm good, man. How are you?
Not bad. I'm trying to adjust my screen real quick because I fucked up and have like the whole screen taken up by Discord right now. There we go.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Shout out to the family. Shout out.
did you see the Brave New World trailer?
I did, man. I did. I liked it a lot.
Do you think it's like the return of glory? Like, because they'll have Wolverine and Deadpool, or Deadpool versus
Yeah.
Wolverine. Then right after that, early next year, will be Brave New
hmm
World, right? So I'm thinking,
I am. Yeah.
it's gonna be good.
I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical. I'll tell you that. So I'll tell you this: they have the director Julius Ona. He directed. He directed a few good films we might like, right? Like The Girl Is in Trouble, Cloverfield Paradox.
Okay.
So it depends on how people may have viewed those, I guess. I will say, Brave New World is giving me Winter Soldier vibes just a little bit, slightly.
Did you like Winter Soldier or no?
I love Winter Soldier. I think it's one of the best comic movies of all time.
Okay, yeah, me too.
Yeah,
We just went through it. Me and Kate went through, dude, and we watched the entire MCU.
nice.
And that one is always one when I watch it that like sticks out, you know. That one and Civil War. I think the
Civil War, I love too.
1, 2,
Yeah,
and 3, like Captain America, I think had the best movies.
trilogy. You know,
Yeah,
so it used to be this thing in comic movies where it's like, oh, it's that curse. It's the curse of the third movie.
yeah,
I think Captain America bucked that trend because you're right. I think all three were top notch.
yep. Um,
And I know some people will try to say, well, Civil War is kind of Avengers 1.2 or 2.1 or whatever. they'll try to write it off, but it's still Captain America's movie, no matter which way we spin it.
Right.
So yeah, all well done.
Black Knight says, "Watch them have She-Hulk pop out of nowhere." the the
She starts working on them.
the worst thing about She-Hulk, like I like the show and I understand the like, hey, we're breaking the fourth wall or whatever thing with She-Hulk because it's always been a thing, kind of like Deadpool, right? But
Hmm.
the last episode of She-Hulk made it basically to where the entire show was fucking pointless. And I
Yeah,
think that's
I
going a
thought,
little too far with breaking that fourth wall thing because, like, well, thanks for
yeah,
wasting my time because nothing that we saw even fucking mattered at all.
yeah. Like that's her shtick, right? The whole fourth
Yeah,
wall breaking. It's like Deadpool. Deadpool. That's part of the shtick too. The fourth wall breaking, where they actually see us. Like it's kind
yeah,
of cool in that regard. But you're right. It made the show feel unnecessary. But I think that show was damaged well before the end of it. Like to see them try to force
yeah,
such like cultural things into it, it was like, come on, y'all, just give us a good show. Don't try to pander. And when they
yeah.
started to pander, that's when Marvel started to go wrong, you know, in my view.
But do you think Concord has a chance?
Not a snowball's chance in hell. On not a snowball's chance in hell with the boiler up and sitting inside of a hot tub with the devil himself running, finishing up a game of basketball and sitting inside of it. No, it's the thing about it, and I think somebody said it earlier in the chat. It might have been Black Knight. Had it been free to play, and this is what most people have been saying, it's just common sense.
Yeah,
It had it been free to play, it would have made sense. But you can't put that up there as a hero shooter in a very um, what's the word I'm looking for? Um, a very
generic.
busy, well, generic too, right? Because
Yeah,
clearly they're trying to ape the Guardians of the Galaxy. It's pretty obvious, right?
yeah.
But it's a word for this where it's so much competition out here
Oh yeah, it's
where
oversaturated. Yeah, it's yeah,
saturated. That's the word I was looking for. It's a very oversaturated market already, which is why
yeah,
Halo sometimes struggles. I think sometimes people don't look at part of that being the reason why Halo is where it's at. Like it can recapture people, but it can't make certain moves because of the fan base, and then also try to combat monsters like Call of Duty and sometimes Battlefield or Fortnite. And this right here is falling into that trap where it has to battle Destiny, Fortnite, Overwatch. And it's like those games are proven. They've been improved for years now. And you have to step into that and offer something that's going to pull people away from that. And I just don't think it's going to be able to do that, especially
yeah.
being priced at $40. I just think it's a losing fight.
Yeah, I mean they got games that are established with huge player bases that are literally free that have been around to fine tune things for years and years and years, and it's like even and a lot of people just like only focus on the hero shooters, but really what they're competing against is players' time,
Hmm.
and and pretty much all competitive multiplayer games, right? Because
Yeah.
especially the free to play ones, because it's free to people to give it a shot, and just this is one of the reasons I think Battlefield is in games like that are having a tougher time now, right? Now 2042 they launched in a bad state, but also every Battlefield before that also launched in a bad state. But people's expectations are so much higher now because there's so many other things that they're playing, like constantly. And when Battlefield 2042 launched, being an only multiplayer game, for $70 and it had those issues and people were just like fuck
Hmm.
that, I'm just going to go play Warzone or play
Yeah.
like one of these other million free to play games that I have that aren't asking for my $70 that we've already went through all these battles with and are running fine now, and because these games are constantly getting updated with new content, they don't feel as old or stale, there's something to kind of keep you hooked in there, right? And like
That's true.
it
Yeah.
with something like Battlefield, it's like, hey, pay $70 to come and have these issues with us. I did happily because I was having fun with it, right? But like,
Mm.
I think in this day and age, it's hard for these games like that to continue that level of success. Like, um,
No, I agree.
so
And Battlefield had a bunch of issues,
oh yeah,
unfortunately, that it felt. Technical issues in general from bugs and
lacking
things
in
like
some
that before
features.
launch.
Yeah,
Exactly, missing a ton of features, gameplay changes the fans didn't like, and just it also doing, was made during the pandemic, so it just faced a ton of issues that hurt it.
mm-hmm.
But I will say that I think they're going to rebound just fine with Vincent Pella behind them, so I'm not even worried about Battlefield too much. But
Yeah,
Concord, I thought it even when they showcased, I thought it before they showcased it. Like I just didn't see. I kind of thought it'd be what we saw it as. I didn't think it would be a copy of Guardians of the Galaxy, but I kind of thought hero shooter type game or
mm-hmm.
something in that vein, some type of shooter. And I didn't think when they showcased it. I don't know if you remember when they showcased that during PlayStation's event at that time, and it showed all these free to play, excuse me, live service games. Everybody was kind of like, eh. Even then, most of us were kind of, eh. The only game that stood out to me is the game that I think did pretty well, which was Helldivers 2. Everything else
Yeah,
was like, eh, eh. And you said it earlier, you touched on it earlier when you said some of the decision making that Sony did here is questionable. Because why would you go away from money makers, clear money makers that like Spider-Man with what we saw, and we saw the footage released online, so it looks pretty good, and I can see them
yeah,
making something out of that. Go away from that. You go away from bringing So back. You go away from I don't know, The Last of Us, obviously with factions too. All these things right here, and you give us this. I don't understand that. I know it's complex. I know it's not as simple as, well, we just didn't want that. We want this instead. But I think they should have waited and tried to get those ships situated right and got those out there
yeah,
versus this.
yeah. I mean, they need to figure out how to get some more live service games going, especially even on their consoles, because like on PC, Helldivers 2 was dominating, right, for a while.
Hmm.
But yet it
Yeah.
fell off quickly on the console. Even though it sold well on the console, it didn't
Yeah.
maintain the player engagement comparatively to like the other what people call black hole games, like the free to play games, live
Hmm.
service games. Like Xbox had 3 on PlayStation during May of most played games. They had Call of Duty, they had Minecraft, and they
Hmm.
had Sea of
Let's
Thieves.
see what they use.
Right,
Yeah.
so they had those in the top 10 most played games on PlayStation. There was not one Sony game on PS5 in May that was in the top 10 for playtime, right? And this was at a
But
time where they had
yeah.
the most games in the first half launching, right?
But how could that be?
Because these
I see
PlayStation
brothers
guys,
footage that they can win their games over here on the
they
Xbox side.
they will buy the exclusives and then they'll quickly move on from them and they'll just keep playing the Call of Duties and the Maddens and stuff like that, right?
Are you
And
saying they're one and done?
the games as service games and live service games are unfortunately like the main way that these companies all make money now. You see like EA's numbers,
Hmm.
you see 2K's, you see all the big publishers when they release their like financials, it's their services and
Hmm.
ongoing games that are racking in the billions of dollars of profit,
Billion.
right?
Fact.
And they're
Yeah.
doing that and Sony only has one that's really kind of solid right now and it's mainly on PC. So I don't blame them for trying to do games of service because I think they need to survive ultimately long term in the future. But I don't understand the reason why they went with the ones that they got, right? And that's going to be
Yeah.
hard to understand going forward. What like some of the moves that they make, but like if you look at even a game like Xboxes, they got these across the board, right? Forza Horizon
Hmm.
5 just hit 40 million fucking
40
players
million.
for a
Crazy.
racing game.
Insane.
For a racing game. And that was one that nobody was really considering beforehand as being a massive games of service franchise. Like the
Hmm.
Forza Horizons before were like, okay, let's play 3, we'll play 4, then you wait and you play 5, and you didn't really consider like the ongoing nature of it. But now with
Yeah.
Horizon 5, they have this like massive fucking player base that just continues to grow. You have Sea of Thieves that continues to grow. Motorsport is still got an audience, even though it didn't launch anywhere near as well as Forza Horizon 5 did. All the updates that they're doing is still continuing to create that to grow, because what Microsoft doesn't do is they don't give up on their franchises when they struggle out the gate, right?
Which I
Like,
appreciate.
yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
But yeah,
So,
that you hit it right here, man. Like one of the strengths of Xbox is they don't just give up outright on their live service. The only one that I could kind of think of as an outlier is Redfall, but that is, has extenuating circumstances because of Leon Austin being shut down, or should I say, what's not Leon, but
Arcane Austin, yeah.
Arcane Austin. I'm thinking of Leon mixing the two together. But Arcane Austin being shut down obviously led, to them saying, okay, let's shutter that. They didn't see much improvement going on there from numbers, et cetera. I get that. But in general, you're right. Like they've mastered, I think, the art of continuing these live service games and continuously updating them and making them into something whole. What I will say though is I don't want us to have that future only where every other game has to be some type of live service component.
100%, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Where like we're not expected to get the full game at launch anymore because that's been a thing we've been getting
Hmm.
for a long time now. And I'm sure you all in the chat can agree with that. Like it's been such a long time where AAA games where we used to just get the full package right then and there. Now it's like you're getting piecemealed, and it's only certain games like that really give you everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right then and there. So, and when they
I
do, they'll stand out. That's the funniest part.
Yeah, that's why I like the model of all of these. You know what I mean? Like doing everything, and that
Hmm.
like there's only one company. Well, actually, I mean, Nintendo's doing it better than PlayStation is. Crazy enough, right? I mean, they have
Yeah.
Splatoon, they have Mario Kart, they have Smash. All kind of Animal Crossing. These are all kind of like ongoing games for them this generation, right?
Hmm.
Xbox has all the ones that we mentioned plus more. Um, Age, Flight Sim, like there's just so many, right? PlayStation has Helldivers 2 and GT7, and it's kind of like now what they've done is they went and tried to invest big time into live service. They struggled to do so. They didn't know how to do it. They ended up canceling half of their games. And then this Concord is the one that comes out after Helldivers 2. Like, this is supposed to be their first of these kind of like bigger foray into games of service, because they didn't actually have a lot of high expectations, I don't think, for Helldivers 2. You could kind of tell by their
Hmm.
marketing and all everything, they didn't really talk about it as much and stuff. And like, it was more so uh, people like us or whatever that were more excited for the game that talk about it than even their own player base, because they kind of weren't even really thinking about how amazing that game could be. But Concord is
Yeah.
like the first one that's like supposed to be their big games of service game, and I don't really I just think it was a miss, like going with that game over some of the ones that they canceled. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But
100%. And I just feel like once this bites them in the butt, because it's going to, when you start seeing diehard Hoover brothers complaining about the game and giving up on it, and saying, not for me. Like we already know, typically they're not too in touch with
yeah,
a lot of these live service games, first party at least. They'll definitely get into Call of Duty, third party and stuff like that, Fortnite, but they don't typically do that first party. They've been trained and conditioned to have a different sort of genre preference. So you can see it even when they were talking about it, like their preferences kicked in, like, this is not really what I want from Sony. So I just don't think it's going to be successful, man.
Yeah.
And when does this game release for them?
Let me look at the release date. I don't even fucking know. I don't know if anybody knows because nobody cares. uh, did they even announce the release date?
I don't know. Yeah, August 23rd, 2024.
Okay.
Yeah. So
There it
I
is.
don't
Yep.
know. I'm with Black Knight where he says DOA. I'm starting to believe that might be the case. I
What
just don't think it's going to be that well.
what have you been playing lately, bro?
Me myself, I've been playing Mark of the Ninja remastered,
Oh,
and
okay.
yeah, man, first time ever playing it. Played it throughout the week, finished it. I beat it. I'm beating it on New Game Plus, which I'm about to get on after I finish talking with you on my ROG Ally, and
But you're
just
at work, so you're like
yeah,
you're at work and you're doing a podcast, and then when you're done with me, you're gonna go start playing games on your ROG Ally at work. I want your job.
yeah, man, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. And
Uh,
it's thundering heavy outside right now. We have a severe thunderstorm going on here in Chicago right now.
yeah.
But yeah, so the beautiful part about that is just like it's pretty relaxed. You know, it's beautiful outside. I love it when it rains, personally. I don't like to be caught in it, but I like to be, chilling and watching it from the inside out.
Hmm.
But yeah, man. So I'm gonna jump on that, finish that up, and it's like I only got a few more stages to go, and I'll finish it a new game and get the last season and be done. But besides that, I downloaded Neon White and Tia. So I'm gonna
Nice.
jump into those after this. Yeah, all hail Game Pass.
Yeah, how you liking Neon
Uh,
White? Did you try it yet? Or
I haven't tried it yet. I'm gonna
okay.
jump into it right after I finish this.
I was
But
playing a little bit
I've heard
before.
nothing but good things. Yeah.
It's
What do you
good.
think about it?
It's good. It. I'm in this like what I was talking about earlier is I'm kind of in this really chill, casual mode with games right now.
Hmm.
And I kind of like that you can just go in and do some quick levels and be done with it if you want. Like it's kind of I'm not spending any too much time with one game at a time right now. First Descendant I've spent quite a bit honestly, but besides that, I kind of like okay, I'm going to play this for 20 30 minutes, an hour, and then I'll move and
Yeah.
play something else like and I'll just keep grazing and just trying stuff out. And I think it's because I'm in this like wait for the bigger games that I'm mostly excited for this year. Uh
I kind of get it. Yeah, I kind of get that. Also, I had kind of went on this kind of rut a little bit, like, what do I play? Like right now, I have the Urge Tree, Shadow of the Urge Tree. I need to jump in back into Elden Ring to do that.
yeah.
So I do have that to get through, and I've been kind of putting it off because you know how like games like that or big RPGs, it's going to take so much of your time away
Hmm.
that you're like, if I jump into that, I'm not going to be able to touch anything else. So like, I'm kind of trying to bide my time with these lesser games or backlog and get some of that out of the way before I do that, because I know once I invest, I'm going to put hundreds of hours into it. Like the one before I played Mark of the Ninja was Octopath Traveler 2. And I
Yeah.
finished that up and got all the
You
achievements for that.
finish it like
And I put
that's a long game, bro.
200 plus hours,
Yeah.
almost 300 hours into that. What,
I,
300, 200, maybe 60 hours I put into that?
have you played Unicorn Overlord?
I have not played that yet. I was thinking about getting it, but I wasn't too sure. You tried it out?
Yeah, it's fantastic, dude. Um
Oh, that's,
it do you like old school like JRPG like tactics games? Like Final Fantasy Tactics and stuff like that?
some of them, like me, growing up, I always played like beat 'em up, Street
Hmm.
Fighter, platformers, you know what I mean, Mario's and
Yeah, yeah.
such. And oh, my game was trying to, so my gaming style wasn't catered to JRPGs at first. So I'm kind of a late bloomer where I'm getting into a lot of these series late. So now I'm starting to try to broaden my horizons and, and get through a lot of these. I knew of them. I just never really played them. Like
Right,
I would
right.
watch friends play it and stuff like that. So I got a lot to actually catch up on and do. But yeah. So, like, one of the ones I do also want to get into is in the Game Pass as well. Yodine Chronicles, I believe. What's
Yeah,
it?
it's really good. I haven't.
Yodine, yeah,
I've had troubles getting super sucked into any one game, but from what I've played of it so far, I am enjoying it. And what I like about it the
yeah,
most so far is that it's really quick to get into the game at the start. Some of these JRPG retro games or any of these style games, like sometimes it just takes so damn long to get into like the first battle, you know? And
hmm,
so many of the cutscenes, so much dialogue, so many different scenes you have to go through, so many tutorial things and all this stuff, and it's like fuck. I kind of my
yeah.
attention span is like very short these days, so
I get it.
I gotta
I
get
get
into
it.
the game as quick as possible. And that one, dude, it's like you get into the game like really damn quick. So
Yeah.
I really like
And
that about it.
something I noticed too, and then maybe this is kind of like you too, but doing a podcasting thing like we do,
Yeah.
you want to kind of stay on top of the hotter games coming out and keep
Hmm.
abreast of that and kind of so we can talk on them and such, right?
So you got
So
to kind of
it
just see what
kind
it's
of
about, yeah, even if, yeah.
exactly.
Hmm.
So it kind of cuts into productivity in a way where we want to try to play something and
Yeah,
just stick to that thing and finish it off. Like we have to, as you said, graze a little bit and go from this to that to this to that. And that's the one
yeah,
downfall I will say.
yeah. I'm not like
A lot of people
Rand where I just fucking sit and play games all day and play through them and beat them and just move through them like
yeah,
crazy fast. Like I can't do that, dude. Like
yeah,
I've just never been that guy. But what I used to do is I would spend like majority of my time playing sports games and shooters and stuff. And then I would
mhm,
get excited for some of the bigger games, third party games, or some of the indie games, and I would move and play those when they came out. But now I think part of it has been podcasting, part of it's been Game Pass, where I've been like trying other games a lot more. I've been buying games on sale more, like
yeah,
and playing them like later on. But I do get FOMO for most of the big games, and even back in the day, like all my friends on Xbox and stuff would make fun of me because I would literally play all the big games, and they were just still playing Call of Duty or like Madden or whatever. But like all the big games, I would get excited for and have to play. Um,
yeah.
but I still never beat most of them. Like I would play them and then like move on, and then I would start playing my time sync games. But now
Mm.
I don't have a lot of. I don't have the time sync games anymore. Like because I stopped playing
Yeah.
all those, and that's what I've lost is like those couple games that just like are my home games. You know.
Hmm.
Now it's like I just keep moving on to the next thing, to a different thing, to a different thing, and it's like really changed my habits more
The game
so.
side.
Yeah.
So like one of my grindy, not grindy, but the ones that I would put time in, time sinks was Halo, right?
Yeah.
So even Halo Infinite, I put crazy time into that. I'm not sure what it looks like right now, but the last I looked, I believe it was 20, maybe 25 days worth. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's child numbers to some people. Like Ames, I think has 40 days or something crazy.
Yeah. Boom has a lot
And
too, bro.
boom has a ton too, exactly. So like, but those are, quality time that I played, not even just by myself, but with the community. So like that's the beautiful thing about Halo Infinite that I don't think gets enough credit. Like it so much has been done with the community creations that have really kept it alive. And I really wish that they would have had that earlier in its life cycle. And I think it would have helped save it into its fate than what it's doing now.
Mm-hmm.
Because now it's looking kind of bleak. But I do understand for sure where you're coming from with that and kind of grazing because and I'm trying to change my mindset on that too, because I'm the type where I'm gonna stick with just one game and play through that one game and then try to move on to the next game. And that's why my backlog is so crazy. And some
Yeah.
games I never got a chance to dry out. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna switch it up. Have you played through or played a bunch of the first Descendant yet?
I'm like level 32, I think, with
Okay.
Viesa. And
Yeah, so okay.
yeah, I'm like low level with Bunny, right? But
Nice.
yeah, I it's getting to the part now where it's getting harder.
Mm.
Like in the 30s, in the lower 30s, I'm at this point now where it's like, okay, I had to start paying attention to my modules and all that shit and really start putting up my defense and things like that too. But yeah,
Okay.
I haven't gotten sucked into it as much as like Pong or Steel or Fuzzy or even a lot of the people I see talking in the chat. Survey was saying he has like 4 or 5 characters up to like level 40 so far.
Oh wow.
My goal is to, I think it's Valby is the water one. I see you talking about her, Survey. That's the character that I have like pinged for me to get the resources for to unlock, but I haven't gone to like farm it because I've been unlucky and haven't gotten any of the stuff that I've needed. So
Yeah.
but I do like the game. I think it's fun. I just enjoyed playing it in that casual way, not like getting sucked in hardcore into it so much.
Hmm.
Before that, it was Diablo. I did level 100 on my rogue for the season. Um, and before, like, I'll get sucked into sometimes like a game for like a month or two, and then I'll like move
Hmm.
on, and then but it hasn't caused me to be like hardcore into it
Yeah.
like some games have in the past.
Same.
However, I am really
Yeah.
enjoying it.
You know, I haven't given enough time to it because I've been playing other games, but the time I did play, I did enjoy. Some thoughts I had was kind of like it felt a bit like the controls could be tightened up a bit, maybe. But again, I didn't put enough time into it to say. I don't think I got too far my level for it yet. And I played with Lepic, but he, just
Yeah.
kind of standard looking guy with the metal arm, like,
Yeah.
Bucky from the Winter Soldier. But he was pretty cool. I like his alternate, not his ultimate one, but he has that art alternate that you can buy with the metal skull face and all of that. I was
Right. Right.
very tempted. I'm like games like this will get me because I am a aesthetic kind of thought when it comes to that. When it comes to microtransactions, so like the ultimate bunny, I was like, oh, I might have to get that. Might have to get that ultimate snow bunny, man. I was thinking about it. She look, one thing I will give, like on a serious note, and I know some people might rub it the wrong way, but let's give a shout out to our Korean and Japanese developer brothers and sisters who, are not kowtowing to the agendas of the day and
Right.
giving us characters that are attractive. I'm just gonna be honest. It's crazy to see. Like I was a big fan of Stellar Blade. I propped it up. I gave it its love. I came away feeling about an 8 out of 10 for it overall. Pretty solid. Story was kind of somewhat, not the greatest of stories. The voice acting was so, about what I expected. But the action I love, the visuals I love, the art style I love, the theme and the world. A lot of it I loved. It has so much of it that's really good. And you can see they poured themselves into that, you know. And I just love that those types of games are out there for people to enjoy as well. I'm glad not everything has to be forced into this whole, well, we can't try to offend people by making the women look too much like this or that. And because I always found it kind of hypocritical because while they're saying about the women that they'll change to not make them look over sexualized, it's like, yeah, but you still got Brad Pitt over
Yeah.
there for the male character.
Right.
You got Brad Pitt. I can't relate to him. So what's the problem with him? Why can he be himself and this god on the battlefield? But I have to have, I don't know, Roseanne over here on my side playing with him. There's no shade to them having diversity in characters. I'm all for that. But it shouldn't be an agenda thing. It shouldn't be, well, we have to do this. Because that's what a lot of people had a lot of issues with. What's my man name who made The Last of Us? Neil.
Neil Drunkman. Yeah.
He had that whole initiative. And I think it was honorary. Don't get me wrong. I think it's honorific that, and honorable, should I say, that he's like, well, we don't want to have over sexualized women. I get it. I do get that. And I'm not saying that any of the ladies we get in games need to be running around half butt naked or like Ultimate Bunny here in the First Descendant necessarily. Not that I'm complaining, you know, but I think there should be options for us to have this. This is escapism. Why do I need to be confined to real world rules and thoughts when I'm trying to escape that into a video game?
I
That's the problem I've always had with it.
in general, I think it's just up to the developers. And like some companies are going
Yeah,
to be more concerned with that stuff, so other companies aren't. And ultimately, there's enough options out there for everybody on the types of games. Like, I think honestly, the conversation, but like people make way too big of a deal about it at times. Like, if you go back and think about the way things were in the 80s or 90s, even on TV and movies and stuff, and think about all the kind of shit that we can watch today. Like,
yeah,
there's stuff was way more censored way back then than they are today, and like we see so much more crazy stuff in gaming too. Like the hot coffee mod was a huge major thing with GTA. Now like there's
yeah,
fucking stuff like Baldur's Gate 3 and it's just like, oh, this is like in the game here. And it's like, so for me, I look at it like, hey, we have games that, yeah, and companies that want to be more like try and be welcoming to all people that try and be less offensive to different people and stuff. And then there's companies that are like, hey, we're fucking just want to make what we make and fuck it, or we want to like over sexualize things, or we want to do this or that. And it's like there's those games, there's these other kind of games. But like the things that bother me is when a game comes out like Fable, or a trailer comes out for a game like Fable, and they're like, "Oh, she's ugly. Why do they have to purposefully make her ugly?" I'm like, "Did you ever play the original
yeah.
Fables and like want to have sex with the characters? None of them were ever fucking like attractive characters back in the day in Fable. That's not ever what
True.
Fable was about. Like, so why are we making this Fable have to be about that when the previous Fables weren't? Like those are the kind of things that
Yeah.
just doesn't make sense to me.
You
But
know what it is? You know what it is, man? And I know some people kind of vibe with them, but I really hope that you all reevaluate the Grums of the world. He has kind of, I don't know how he did it, because he was the laughing stock for a long while until he kind of hit a chord, and I think it's probably this perfect storm of nonsense that kind of helped lift him up with the agendas being pushed and him kind of riding that wave of, yeah, down with DEI and all of this stuff, right? And now everything that comes out, if that woman looks even remotely homely, they're going to be like, oh, agenda,
right,
you know?
exactly. Yeah. Lost you, bro.
Not really the
There you are.
case for that. Uh-oh.
Oh,
Oh,
you're back
okay.
now.
I was saying, yeah, Fable got caught up in that when it's not even really the case. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And you're right. That never was our thing. Like, oh, this, ooh, I can't wait to make love to my favorite like heroine that I made. Like that never was a thought process, And I say that saying, yeah, I typically want a cool looking character that I play as, right? I
Yeah.
typically do. That's just me.
It's
But
the
I
same.
never had a, yeah, I never had an inkling to be like, oh, this my character is sexy. But in that the argument of today that has kind of ruined the discourse, the gaming discourse we used to have when it comes to stuff like this.
Mm,
So
yeah.
now it's got to be either that extreme that they're sexualized and looking really, really sexy and good, or if they don't look that way slightly, even if her chin is even slightly strong, like Laura Croft, the new complaint from Laura Croft, if she looks even slightly muscular, it's like, oh, it's DI. And it's just ruined gaming discourse. And I think we really need to get away from that
Yeah.
mindset and push away from that.
There's just too
But
much
I agree with you.
focus on it. Ultimately, it's not even a real like conversation that like there's just different kinds of games, different kinds of characters, like to me.
Yeah.
And it's like
Yeah.
cool. Like some of them are gonna be this way, some of them are gonna be another, and like I don't put too much thought into it. Magnum had asked in the chat, have I ever said a game is bad? Yes, I have. But like the games I'm talking about usually are more so games I'm interested in or that I can still respect the creation of it. Like I'm a person that generally looks for the good in things and not play something to look for the bad. Like if if it's a bad game, I'm probably not even interested in playing it or talking about it. right? Like, there's games I don't have as much interest in, and I'll talk about those, but I'm not going to say it's a bad game just because I don't have interest in. But occasionally there's a game that I do play and try, like Crossfire X, that is like says fucking game is garbage, right? Like that game was absolute
Yeah.
trash to me. Um,
Yeah.
and I couldn't believe it existed in the state that it, in the way it plays. I was like, it didn't make any damn sense. But there's an audience for that too. It's just my opinion. But like, I'm not,
Hmm.
if I'm playing like any of these big games, like a lot of them are what like really impressive what they can do, and the systems in the games, or like the characters, the story, or whatever. There's usually something positive to look at in these games. And I'm not gonna sit there. I'm not the type to play through a game and just look for the bad or the criticism or the negatives. I'm playing it to have fun. You
Yeah.
know,
And
like
I'm with you on that. We were in a space the other day. It was me, Aaron, he was hosting, myself, Kay Asante, and Paris. And we were just talking about a lot of this. And I was talking about I wanted to, do a little something different on my podcast. And because in general, we talk about a lot of the same things on a lot of our podcasts in
mhm,
general, right? And so I want to start working on evergreen topics outside of the norm. And the one good thing about my show is that we cover all media fronts. So it could be gaming, we could be talking about wrestling, we could be talking about TV shows, movies, et cetera, right? And but the audience typically comes for games and typically Xbox because a lot of us share the same audience. And but it's just tough, man, and it's a lot of us doing it. So, but one of the things that we talked about is playing games and stuff and talking about things we love. Because who wants to talk about something they don't like?
yeah.
So I'm
Well,
with you on that,
there's
100%.
surprisingly a lot of
Yeah,
people. That's all they do, right? But like,
yeah,
I don't. What I
so
don't
true.
like, what I try and point out, and this stuff isn't like to be like overly critical of one game or another, but I try and point out the double standards, right? Like
Hmm.
the one I always bring up is Jedi Survivor, because the way it launched with the bugs and the performance and stuff was just absolutely like atrocious on a big AAA game. And there was other games that had come out that had way less problems or anything that like people never brought attention to. The same thing happened with Spider-Man 2 and its bugs, right? The none of the big
Hmm.
media was writing articles and stuff about that, and things, but like they would like have a whole paragraph dedicated to like some kind of one person's issue that they had with one glitch on High on Life, which was a game that hit Game Pass
Right.
day one, and like it can be the same reviewers, the same this or that, and it's like, if you guys are gonna make this much a deal about one bug for one game, you dedicate this much time talking about it, right? Then
Yeah.
you ignore it on these other games that you're just super excited for, and that you just choose to ignore because your overall level of hype or enjoyment that you think you're going to have for this game, and that you push through the issues because you're still enjoying yourself regardless, because it's a game that you like and a game that you're excited for. So like, I want games, and this is why I've always kind of called for the objectivity to come back with game reviews, is to be, and journalism in general for gaming, to be brought back to a little bit more to an objective viewpoint, like from trying to look at games and judge them for different criteria and different aspects of them, and quality is actually a big focal point as opposed to just personal enjoyment level, because you're losing a lot of meaning to what a review is at that point. For me, it's just like these reviewers now, it's like the only person that serves is themselves. And
Yeah.
if anybody completely always agrees with it, what they like or don't like, then that's cool. But imagine if you took that same approach to all consumer products that are being sold for a price. Like, um, yeah, that'd be bad if everything was just based on somebody's own preferences and not actually any kind of objective viewpoint about criteria over technical aspects or quality over different
Hmm.
categories, right? And we lost that. So a lot of times when you hear me complaining or you hear me like griping or bitching about a game, it's more about the conversation about a game other than the game itself being bad. I think a lot of times games are going to have bugs, games are going to have this or that, That's just the way it is these days, right? I just don't like when games, when there's double standards out there, and certain games get picked apart and crucified for months over the fact that people had misconceptions over what was going to be in the first place, and other games launch completely fucking broken or in a horrible state, and nobody even says a damn thing, right?
So true. It's a lot of double standards when it comes to that, for sure. And that's why that whole talk of the Xbox tax got so prevalent because, we would see it a lot on the Xbox side where they would be very critical, openly critical about any Xbox flaw, any Xbox game's flaw, but wouldn't quite have the exact same energy when it came to a lot of Sony first party titles.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of that came from.
A,
But
a lot of the conversation
in
with Game
general,
Pass now too, like I'm going to be critical over them raising prices, right? I don't like them raising prices at all, but
right.
we look at what PlayStation Plus has to offer, and nobody fucking cares because it's such a shitty service to begin with that it's just kind of like thrown away as like some kind of like, oh, it doesn't really even fucking matter. It's not what they're trying to do. Well, like I want them to try and do it. Like it's a service that they're offering. They should be equal value there if they're charging the same price. And there's not. And people don't care. People haven't been caring for ever since it's existed. They've not, none of these big games media has really tried to compare the value of PS Plus Premium to Game Pass Ultimate.
You're right.
Like I want to see articles comparing the value of those two services when they're and PlayStation says, well, it's not a competing service. Before it came out, they were said we're working on our version of Game Pass, right?
Yeah.
And yet games like GT7 that have been out almost 2 years, right, or maybe over 2 years at this point, aren't even in their service. Like why they remove first party games from their service in order to sell remasters on them, and stuff like that. Like there's a certain level of aspects of double standard when it comes to that, as well as everybody that championed game prices going up to $70 are the same people crying a lot about a $3 increase on a subscription service. Right. So
that's the thing, right? When you compare them and you really sit down and look at the differences, it's like night and day. And I canceled my PS Plus or whatever about a month or so back when I stopped playing Helldivers religiously like I was.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I don't miss it at all. If I was to cancel Game Pass, I would feel empty inside.
Yeah.
I was actually bought a year worth the other day, actually. A year's worth, and I extended all the way until 2026 right now. I'm gonna be able to stack onto it to add it for another year after that, which I'll probably do this week. But yeah, man, it's night and day differences. And Sony could make PS Plus and the premium tier worthwhile. They really could, but they don't want to do that. They're not putting in like they could put in Crunchyroll and whatever they have now, the anime stuff they own, they could put in music. Sony has they have their hands dipped in a lot of different, things and avenues. So they really could make it worthwhile. They got movies they could put in there. And they just really want to give their consumers the bare minimum.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't hear that same energy. You're right. I would love to see a real comparative breakdown to the two services.
It's because games media advocates more for the company of Sony than they do actually for the consumer. Like that's why they'll also come out with articles talking about Game Pass sustainability or how it's like the games media's focus should be on the consumers and like the value of the consumers and the readers, the people that are actually digesting their content. Instead, it's like they want to protect the industry and the way it is with Sony and their models while saying that Xbox and what their models are doing can't work. So they don't even ask the questions to Sony about why can't you do this. Instead, they just make articles as saying, "Hey, we can't. Sony, it's impossible for them to do this." Yet still saying that Sony's models are better and they're number one in gaming. While if they're number one, then they should be able to afford to compete better in a subscription model, right? Like so. there's a lot of double
Agreed.
standard conversations there as well, like all the time about that stuff. I will never understand why anybody doesn't ask more from the companies that we're purchasing products from. Like these,
100%.
like that's why we're hard on Xbox when they make fuck ups, right? Or when they do things and stuff. It's why we on PM the PM we talked for a while about how it's stupid with this new tier system that they have. I don't really not a fan of the standard even being there. Like it doesn't make any sense in its current form. Like because we're going to be
Agreed.
critical of them and stuff. Like, but nobody's doing that for the same on PlayStation. Instead, it's just a bunch of excuses and defense over the model that exists. And this is another thing that pissed me off too. Like, whenever you do get critical of Xbox, it's like people say like you sound like a fucking Sony fanboy or Sony guy or whatever. And I'm like, no, that's opposite. Like, we don't, because those guys never fucking criticize PlayStation.
Right.
You don't understand that we don't want to be that, right? We're fucking players in an ecosystem and paying for the services and playing the games and stuff. Like we should be asking for what we want. Like I'm not a shareholder of Microsoft, like, and if you are, then yeah, you have a right to argue for the corporate thing or whatever. But like I'm personally not interested in doing that.
Me either. And then we get into a lot of that, man. It really annoyed me. That whole thing of, oh, you're not one of us, or us against them.
I'm a fucking gamer, dude, that prefers to play on Xbox. There's no fucking square that I'm standing on. You know what I mean?
That's it. I'm a consumer. Like you said, at the end of the day, I'm looking for what's best for me. So I'm never going to be advocating for higher prices. I'm never going to be advocating for shittier services. I'm going to complain about something I think they do wrong. Now, I'm not going to over complain and over dramatize it. None of us do that. Well, at least not any of us that's credible like yourself, myself, our circles. But it's nothing wrong with calling out something that they did wrong or a misstep or something you dislike. You know what I mean? And people have to get out of the mindset of you can't say anything bad because you all start to sound like our Who brothers when you do that. You have to know that.
Yeah, I'm a huge
should never be that.
Dallas Cowboys fan, Dallas Mavericks fan, all that shit. You don't think I'm screaming at the TV sometimes, being like, "You fucking idiots! Why did you do that? You should have done that." Now I'm sitting here at home. I'm like playing couch quarterback, right? Like,
yeah,
like Dak, you fucking moron! Well, how did you throw that ball? Like.
I've broken many items in my house yelling at the Bears or at the Bulls, especially when we had Carlos Boozer. I broke a light switch jumping up, got mad about him.
Yeah, you cost us the game, you fucking loser. Like, it's like there's all this stuff, man. Like, and do you think I'm not a fan of those teams or love them? Like, it's
right.
It just doesn't make any sense. I don't understand the mentality of you liking something and you just can't ever say anything negative or critical about it. Otherwise you are the enemy. It's such a stupid concept. Sup Delilah HD says, I've been lurking, but I am late. Who is the guest? That is none other than the soul singer himself, Infinite Umbra.
I'm so in love with you. Hello, Delilah.
Delilah. You remember Delilah? The radio host?
I forgot the words to the song, but okay. All right. Anyway, hello, Delilah.
It's Delilah. Meet the Cheater says, I broke my hand on a big ass tube. On a big ass tube. Oh, big ass tube TV. I didn't see the TV icon. Okay.
Yeah, I get it. I listen. My brother, rest his soul. We had one of those floor model gigantic 50-inch screens too, and it was the projector type big screens. I think that's what he's talking about. And we were throwing a ball around the house, and he cracked into that boy. Oof. My mother. Oh, I can't even tell you the reaction.
you know, like the 36-inch fucking like tube TVs back then weighed like so much, dude.
Oh yeah,
Like
heavy.
crazy. But and I had my friend like growing up as like my best friend, and he could just put it on his shoulder and walk up the stairs. He was fucking nuts, dude. I was like struggling
Yeah.
to try and even get my arms around the damn thing, you know, and
Man.
it's like, can you help me? And he just picks the fucking thing up, puts it over his shoulder, and walks up the stairs. When it's got a fucking, it's got a landing in the middle of it, and a turn.
Hey
I'm
man,
like,
listen,
dude, he's
he was presenting dominance over you doing that. You got to challenge him now.
well, I back then I was like really skinny, dude. I was like 6 foot. I was 6 foot and like 165 pounds, right? But he
Okay.
was like 5'8", about the same weight, but he was jacked, you know.
Yeah. When
And
I was younger, man, I played football too, and I remember that, like when I would help people move, they would always call on me, and I used to hate it after a while. But
yeah,
I remember the strength I had then, where I could pick up an entire refrigerator and carry it up an entire flight of like
yeah,
spiral stairs by myself. I wouldn't dare try to do that now. But I could do that then. It's kind of crazy when you really think about it. But yeah, your buddy had to be pretty strong to do that.
yeah. It
Because those
was
old models were heavy.
yeah, it was like a JVC or some shit, you know. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah.
God, those things were so expensive too. Like for
Hmm.
what they were for the time, like
Yeah,
like early 2000s or late 90s or whatever, $500 a lot of times for like one of those TVs. You think about
yeah.
that, like what you can get today for a TV is $500. You can get a fucking like
Literally, you can get three TVs
65
for that price.
inch fucking like TCL probably. That
You can
weighs
get
like
about
10
three or four
pounds.
TVs.
Yeah.
I kid you not. They have a sale on
Yeah.
Amazon right now with their Amazon Day, whatever they call it, sale, and they have I forgot what TV service it is. Is it Vizio? I forgot. It's like
Yeah.
$189 for a 50-inch,
Oof.
and it's nice. It's a nice one.
Scott
And it's
Scott
like 189.
Scott Gamer Dude says he lost so much respect for me because he thought I was a Texans fan. Dude, I grew up in Dallas and I was born in '83, and so I was like through the '90s dynasty was when like my childhood pretty much, right? Like so I grew up watching Emmett, Irvin, Aikman, fucking the triplets just dominate the '90s for
The legends.
there's no way in hell I'll
Yeah,
ever be anything than a Cowboys fan.
when they were America's team, that's when you at its zenith for you.
Oh yeah, it was insane. I went to the when they won the first parade in the '90s. I
Yeah.
went to the parade in downtown Dallas.
Mm.
I think I was like 10, 11 years old or something, and there was riots that broke out. People throwing glass bottles
Mm.
everywhere, so we had to run away to the buses and shit. It was nuts back then, dude. But like, yeah,
Yeah.
watching the Cowboys back then. If you grew up in that area, you'll never be a fan of another fucking football team. Now they suck ass for a long time, but I'll still be a fan.
No,
Um,
I get it, man. Listen, you talking to a Bears fan
yeah,
where our hopes and dreams have been crushed since the 80s. So,
yeah.
we did get there one time in 2005, I think it
With
was, and
Grossman,
yeah, that was on my literally on my
yeah,
birthday, February the 4th, and it ruined my birthday so hard. When I tell you, my entire mood shifted and I was sour the rest of the day. I didn't want to talk to anybody. And my family had made me a whole cookout meal. My mother and my sisters all cooked for me. I was so like disgusted and almost to the Colts
yeah.
that I didn't eat anything. I didn't blow out a candle on a cake, nothing. I was pissed. And it's a game we could have easily won too. It wasn't that crazy of a game. Like, and Devin Hester returned the kickoff at the
Hmm.
first. I mean, like all of it was going. It seemed like it was going in that direction. And then here goes Grossman. I don't even blame him fully. I blame Lovey.
Was that
Honestly,
Was it Cutler, Grossman, or Kyle Orton back then?
it
It had to have
was
been before Orton. So this was
it was Kyle Orton I think. Wait. No, it was Grossman. It was Grossman, and we had another guy too. Who was that? Who did we have? It was Grossman and who was that? I cannot think of the other quarterback that we had. That but he took after they I think because they eventually said Grossman down. No, we did have Gordon. We had Gordon. He was a rookie that year.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was. It was Orton, Kyle
Yeah.
Orton, and Fred. Was it Miller? No, Miller. What was his name? I'm having like a brain
I
fart,
don't
but
remember. The Bears have been through so many quarterbacks, dude.
yeah, we
Yeah,
have
and y'all just moved
unfortunately.
on from Fields too, didn't you?
Well, they still at the we're still at Soldier Field, but they are trying to
No,
make
I
a new
mean
one.
Justin Fields.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think he
Um,
signed with the uh Steelers, right?
mm, you may have.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
haven't. I haven't watched it as religiously as I used to. But it was Rex Grossman for sure. I know it was Rex Grossman. I think Orton was with us. Was he with us?
I don't fucking
You
remember.
know, you know who
I'm gonna
was?
look it up. Hold on.
Orton, I think Orton was with us the year after. That's what it
2005
was.
Bears
I think it was.
roster.
Yeah, because it was Rex Grossman who was there, and who was it that stepped in? I forgot who they replaced him with in the Super Bowl, but
Oh,
it was Rex
so
for
it was
sure.
Kyle Orton was the quarterback.
Hmm.
He was a rookie. Then they
That's
had
what it was, man.
Thomas Jones.
Our
They
running back, right?
they had Mushin Muhammad and Justin Gage were the receivers.
Okay, yeah. So
Um,
Rex was, I know Rex was, I think Rex started for sure. And then they took him out. But it wasn't his fault. It was Lovey's fault because he had him doing those 5 yard pitches and stuff instead of letting him throw the ball. I think he scared Grossman into kind of being complacent and scary on how he threw the ball. Because if
right.
that season, remember, Grossman was throwing Hail Mary bombs through that year. He was setting records for touchdown passes, 95 yards, 100 yards. Scott Gammer, dude, you know what I'm talking about. And he was going crazy. I think Lovey changed that up in the Super Bowl, trying to be like more, I guess, refined, just to not give the Colts a chance to take advantage. And it backfired heavy. Yeah, because our defense was crazy good that
But
year. I
yeah.
remember
I
that.
mean, that was like the heyday of Urlacher and Briggs, and you had fucking
Yeah,
who was the corner? You had
the one who kept returning the returners. What was his
you had
name?
you had Peanut,
Black
you had Peanut Tillman, yeah,
Tillman.
and
Yeah,
Nathan
and
Vasher, but like Tillman was getting turnovers like crazy. He was punching the ball out like
mm-hmm.
from
Oh,
everybody.
yeah,
Then you
yeah,
had Vasher had 8 picks that year. Tillman had 5. You had Lance
yeah.
Briggs with two picks as well from linebacker
Mhm.
spot. Um, yeah, that was a crazy team, dude. Mike
It was.
Brown, strong safety, and
Like
Chris.
Browns, they did a bunch of them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and Chris Harris was rookie that year, free
yeah,
safety. Yeah, that was a good team,
yeah.
but it was all
That was
defense.
the
That
year. It
offense
was
kind
the
of
defense led to our offense. That's
yeah,
what it was. Because you remember that was a year when we went against the Arizona Cardinals that time, and
yeah.
what's his name? Green who let that milk down. We thought they were. That was that year.
So
He was hitting the podium. He was so pissed off. That
it
was
listed for
legendary.
quarterbacks was I don't see maybe Grossman was the year before or something. It shows Jeff Blake and was the backup.
Okay.
I'm not
I know
sure.
for the Super Bowl it was Grossman. I know for a
Yeah,
fact Grossman was the quarterback for the Super Bowl. So I
yeah.
think 2005, I guess that's when they
Oof.
got Orton in there.
Yeah,
Yeah. That wasn't terrible.
Thomas Jones
Yeah.
had a good year. He rushed for 1,335 yards.
Yeah. I love
Uh,
Jones, man.
but yeah, Orton with his rookie. This was his rookie year.
Hmm.
Not so good. It was 1,869 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 13 picks.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, that was his rookie year, coming off as a bench warmer and all that.
Yeah,
I thought he was okay. He was serviceable. I'd say
but
that.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
can't believe they made it as far as they did though. With that, it shows how much how important defense
how good our
is.
defense was, 100%.
Anyway,
But yeah, yeah, man.
what's up,
But as
Farq?
far as Farq, what's up, Farq? But yeah, man, as far as just getting, I guess, parlaying back to gaming though, because I think the audience is like, all right, enough of these sports talk.
Well, we gotta wrap up actually because I gotta
Yeah,
fucking I gotta get downstairs. My wife's gonna kill me.
tell
Um,
Kate when I say hey. But yeah, man.
I will do.
What's on the agenda for you for this week, man? I know you and Pong have AM, I mean, PM and how do I say this properly? Because I always say AM to the PM
PM
because
and
you
the
guys
it's
know
PM and the PM. There's two
there we
PMs.
go. 'Cause I always say AM to the PM. I don't know if you remember me joking about that because you all went, I think, for like 4 or 5 hours one time. And it's like, oh, it's AM to the PM now. But yeah, so you got the PM to the PM, and of course, you all had the fun speculation on Friday.
So we got
Well, you
FSP
had,
on Mondays, so that's
yeah,
that and at 10. Then we got Thursdays is PM and the PM, and then Fridays is Ultimate.
there we go.
You're on around the same time as us on Thursdays
True,
with the
true.
fix.
And I think you go at 6 o'clock my time because I think we both central, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I think
We're
you go an
usually
hour
at
before me.
6. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got
Well,
the
you so
so
yeah, man.
you got the fix at 7 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday. I'm hoping we get
True.
some good news, bro.
Yeah, hoping so too,
Some
man.
good gaming
Like I said,
news.
I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna change it up a little bit going forward as far as how the fix is presented. And I'm gonna try to keep it tighter too, man, because like I said, we're saturated with a lot of different podcasts, and you got so many quality people like yourself and Paul. You got Black Viking and his gang and his brother and friends doing their thing. You know what I mean? You have Boom, who I think set the blueprint for a lot of this, where a lot of shows every other day or day of the week and you know, KSIT and Theo Wayne and everybody. So it's like I'm trying to find something a bit of a niche that separates in a way. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And that's what I'm going to work on doing evergreen kind of topics that are interesting to the family. I try to do reviews of games and stuff like that too, me and Danny and stuff like that too. So
Yeah, right on, man.
yeah,
Sounds good. But yeah, so fix on Thursday. Tell everybody about your channel, what the channel's called, and all that stuff, man.
yeah. So you guys can find me, of course, on Twitter or X, Infinite Under or Under Infinite. You'll find it either way. I follow back, of course. So follow a brother. Delilah, I'm just talking to you when I said that. Um, and of course, on Tuesdays, Xbox Factor with Boom and Panel, typically. Although, it's so late for me when I get off it and try to do that show, man, I might have to leave the show eventually. I'm sad to say because I'm too dead tired by the time.
Yeah, I
But
hear you.
yeah, Thursday's, of course, a fix with myself and Daniel J. McGee. Definitely come by and check us out, guys, if you get a chance. And I get it. Like I said, it's saturated on Thursdays. You got a lot of quality shows to go through. So if you don't come and check us out during the show, at least come by after and give us a check out and a like if you could. And that's the fix on my channel and my name here on YouTube. You'll find it there. Fridays, the Infinite Podcast from myself, Risky for the Biscuit, that blue number, Holly, and Dante J. Moody. So yeah, that's Fridays at 8 o'clock Eastern as well. So yeah, Matt, thanks for having me jump in, brother. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
dude. Anytime. I mean, I change your role on here anytime we're live, and if you want to hop in and just crash our shows, whatever, you got the green light. So,
I
this
appreciate
it's in this channel on this feed here. So, but yeah, thanks for joining in, bro. It was good conversations, good chill Sunday night stream. Everybody in the chat, want to thank you for joining in tonight. Impromptu again. I just kind of randomly will do these sometimes, but and not a lot to talk about. But it was fun just kind of shooting the shit and finding topics with you guys. But yeah, Kate says I'm 3 minutes late, so I'm looking terrified. I am terrified. I am 3 minutes late to get downstairs, so you never know what that means. But yeah, everybody, you rock. But tomorrow night we'll be live 10 p.m. Eastern time for a Fun Speculation podcast. And hopefully we'll get some cool news on a Monday, because sometimes there's some cool news on Mondays. And then Thursdays PM to PM, 7 p.m. Eastern time, and then Fridays Ultimate Xbox Ultimate at 10 p.m. Eastern time. And I hope you all had fun tonight, and I hope you have a good one. Psycho says, "Go Browns!" Fuck the Browns. Have a good night. Peace out.